How's it going, everybody? This is Xavier here, and with me today is DINMAN, who is a newer content creator. He's been doing this, what, about 3 or 4 months now, right?
Yeah, something like that. 3 or 4 months max.
Yeah, and you put out some awesome work. You do a lot of testing with these characters, which we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be looking at what characters you should be taking into the Xavier saga, because there is a lot of new characters since last time I did this. And I want to get a pro on here who's actually been able to test these characters out, say, yeah, take this character's not going to work for you, type of thing. What do you say about that one, DINMAN?
I think it sounds awesome, and I'll tell you, it is correct, 100%. There's so many different characters that are available, and strange enough, it seems like most decent characters will work in most sections, with the exception of Global Hero, which is a complete nightmare. It's amazing the amount of good characters you cannot use in that section.
Yeah, so what we're going to end up doing is we're going to switch over here, and we're going to go through each section. I already took the time to basically take out anybody that's a pre-Ares meta character. This is characters that came out before Ares that were really not used in today. The last time we did this, Hive Mind was basically, hey, you can still kind of take them because we didn't have Thunderbolts at the time on here. But we're going to end up having tiers where it's kind of a lock it in. Basically, this character is definitely good to go. Take them into the saga. Post-Ares contender, these are characters that came out after Ares that could possibly work in this section if you really want to take them there. Post-Xavier unlock are characters that's like Xavier, right? So you can't take them into the saga, or you don't want to take them into the saga like Old Man Logan. But after you get the Xavier unlocked, you can definitely take them up. Pre-Ares contender and post-Ares pass. So, yeah, do you see any characters in this pre-Ares out of meta that you'd kind of consider? I was debating about keeping like maybe Carnage in there because people still do like to use Hive Mind, but I think they kind of ran the course personally.
Think so? I don't think there's anyone in there. I'm not going to say there's no one in there that wouldn't work. I do not think there's anyone in there that would be worth the resources because they're just too close to being forgotten about, in all honesty. I would tell you that Carnage would be a good pick if Noel did not create his own Carnage.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
He does work perfect with Noel, but given the fact that he summons his own, I'd say I would not waste the gear on him, because 2 months from now, I foresee there's going to be no use to use him.
Yeah, and we just had another legendary that we're going to be getting, which is Blastar. And usually anytime there's a new legendary character that comes out, there's more of a power creep, meaning that all of these characters, they're just going to get so outcrept due to stats. They can probably get one shot in the very near future if they're not ready to get in one shot. The only other character I could really see, Kingpin, I do get some use out of him, but he's going to fall over. Spider-Man big time's a cheap tech character, but I think we need to kind of conserve a lot of our tech. Do you have any opinion on those two characters?
Strange enough, Kingpin works in a lot of scenarios because of his after spawn summon.
Yeah.
But when it comes to bringing him to G20, I don't see the necessity, because as soon as they spawn and he has his taunting summon come out, he can die immediately, and he's done his job. So you really can bring him in at G10. So bringing him up to G20, I don't see any value there. Big time Spider-Man, kind of the same thing. His value is usually in his first turn, which him at G20 is not going to change that. And even if you have him at G20, if he gets hit, he's going to die immediately with this power creep that we have. So I don't think that would be a benefit, because he's going to do what you need him to do for you, whether he's G18 or G20.
Yeah, and you can always just make him a skirmisher to kind of get that extra focus for that turn one flip, which is kind of what he's there for, like you mentioned. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump down to the list. So the first character we're going to be talking about is going to be Black Cat. I still get a lot of use out of her, even in the arena meta right now, to try to get ahead of the Fantastic Four team, to get that turn 1 stun very quick hit into Xavier. She's a amazing Xavier counter, but is she good for the Xavier unlock, or would you G20 her after you get Xavier unlocked himself?
Yes, I would G20 her after Xavier. And here's why I say that. Because any player that's, let's just say, 9 months or newer, chances are they're not even going to have her. So recommending her for Professor X is a little bit difficult for me. But if you do have her after you get through Professor X, consequently, Professor X kind of made her meta again.
Yeah,
because before Professor X came out, I had her completely unlocked, but she was at level 1 still. And as soon as he came out, she became such a good counter that I took her all the way to G20, and she actually still does some pretty good damage. And with her 9 death proofs, I mean, she's very, very viable right now.
Yeah, her stock definitely went up after Xavier. I just bought the 3rd diamond on her because mine is G19. I had 2 diamond, and he actually resisted the stun. I'm like, well, I got to buy that 3rd diamond now. So I might want to G20 her. As a skill character, I have a pretty good excess of skill gear, and there's not really a lot of more skill characters I'm looking at gearing up. So she's definitely on the list for me to actually G20 myself.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. You will not regret it at all, especially for Crucible.
Yeah. And Arena now, because I use her as the 5th on my Arena team. I use the 3 Fantastic Four, Xavier, and Black Cat. She goes quick at that 132 speed. Get the stun out there. She's done. I'm happy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. It really, that's one of the things I love so much about this game. Mm-hmm. Is that you got somebody like Black Cat. I didn't use her for 7 months. Xavier comes out, and now I use her every single round of Crucible. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love her. She's got an amazing kit. So happy about that. Next up, so this one here is going to be Blade. Now, the interesting thing about the city section, which we didn't really mention, is they have it set to where for the vigilante characters, their kits are opened up at 3 or more characters as opposed to the full 5-man team. So Vigilante is kind of going to be a must, and they did end up recommending Blade and Oath on there. Now, I think Blade should be a lock-it-in character. He's amazing. I use him all the time in War and in Crucible, whether that's offense or defense. He's got great, amazing value. Do you kind of agree that he's kind of a lock-it-in or just more of a contender?
No, I think he's absolutely a lock-it-in for sure.
Okay.
Without.
And then we'll go ahead and jump over to Oath. Just get the 2 kind of main Night Stalkers out of the way. Is Oath a lock-it-in or more contender and you don't really need her?
I think she is an after Professor X G20, in my opinion.
Okay, so post Xavier?
I say that is because the Vigilante are such a competent team right now. Mm-hmm. In Crucible and War. So spending your gear, bringing the 4 main ones up to G20, I think is more important than bringing Oath to G20. So my opinion is to bring all 4 Vigilante minus Elektra with Blade into Professor X. And then after you get through Professor X and you have extra Mystic, because the end of Professor X is going to be Mystic heavy.
Right, especially with the Fantastic Four out right now.
You bet. So that's my recommendation. Obviously, if somebody loves Oath, you can swap her out for Blade. But I think Blade is a more prominent figure when it comes to the damage that he does and how beneficial he is in other areas compared to Oath.
Yeah, and she is pretty squishy. She's got like a low armor class and I think a smaller health pool. So for me, when I was going through it, she was like the main one I had to try to keep alive. Personally, I would put her in the post-Ares contender. You can definitely bring her if you can swing and you have excess Mystic gear. But I definitely agree, like, it is turning into Mystic heavy. Because we got Fantastic Four, who's actually bio, but we have like a Mephisto, we have a Null character. There are a lot of good Mystic characters that we can actually bring in here. But I would probably place her more in like a contender. Like if you want to bring her, go for it. But I would definitely, at the minimum, take her after the unlock. I do agree with that assessment.
Yeah, and I think your point of view is I think it's a 50-50. Both of them are right, to be honest with you.
I absolutely agree. Daredevil Modern. This guy turned out to be an amazing tank. That vigilante team, like having an on-spawn taunt safeguard, gives defense up, deflect, and immunity to the allies. He's an amazing tank, and he pumps out a lot of damage and heals. His special and his ultimate actually have a heal. He removes negative effects. He flips negative effects. I'm putting him as lock it in easy. Like take him to G20.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
Electra, we'll knock out the vigilante right now. So Electra, for me, she's a pass. She's a mystic character, which is going to be a hit against her. She's really doesn't do anything to the vigilante team. She just makes it to where she's a standing passive to unlock the full kits. That's what she's there for.
I agree 100%. Yeah,
Hitmonkey.
She is pretty much useless.
Yeah. She has been detrimental to me in losing matches because I'll put her next to last Crucible season. I put her next to Silver Sable, meaning that she couldn't get hit to get the vulnerable on, which means when I ulted with Silver Sable, she didn't get the extra damage. So her being there, but in the evade on Silver Sable actually cost me a hit. I'm like, Electra, man. I should just put you on the bookend. Hitmonkey, he's a really interesting character. Out of turn damage, and he's able to do out of turn healing if he's not at full health. Trauma stun, extend negative effects. I'm putting him as a lock it in. If you don't G20 him for the Xavier, then you're going to do it when you're done. That's what I ended up doing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I can tell you, had he been out whenever I went through the city section, I absolutely would have taken him without a doubt.
Yeah. When I went in, I went with Punisher right here. I went in with Daredevil Modern, Silver Sable, Blade, and Oath. So like Hitmonkey actually wasn't out yet when I ended up doing my city run. But Punisher, he just annihilates if you have a villain tag. He's super cheap, 2 skill gear. He steals positive effects, out of turn damage anytime that you do a special. I'm going to put him as a contender, though. He's almost a lock it in because he's only a 2 skill cost, is my opinion.
Yeah, I would personally make him a lock it in with the damage he does and his cost. Plus, I'm going to be straight up, and it's no secret. I'm highly biased towards Vigilante because I think they're amazing.
They are. He would be like right here, like borderline.
Yeah.
Either taking him or Oath as that fifth character. Silver Sable, no discussion needed. She would even go above Blade, in my opinion. Like, she hits so hard, takes positive effects reduction with the full team. Just turn 1, quick character, like 128 speed, just deletes everybody. She's amazing. Take her up right away.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
So now we are into the Superior 6. So typically I would end up saying don't take any of these characters just because they're pre-Ares, but people are starting to use Superior 6 a lot more right now this Crucible season, so I figure I'll add them onto the list. Doc Ock is expensive. I would honestly say he would be a pass. Non-out of meta, pass, and 5 tech gear, so I would actually throw him all the way up here. Do you have any bias against Doc Ock or anything?
I think he's my personal opinion with them. I have struggled with everyone except for Green Goblin when it comes to Superior 6. And the reason why is I've faced them a bunch in Crucible, and even at G20, I feel like they're super easy to beat. So I don't see the variance between 19 and 20 when it comes to them.
Right.
So for me, they're probably going to be for G20 other than Green Goblin Classic.
Okay.
they probably all be a pass for me.
All right, so we'll throw them all up there. I'm in the same boat. Like, I love Superior 6. They're one of my favorite teams that actually came to the game. Mysterio and Vulture right here. I love those two characters. Any chance I get, I try to use them. They just had amazing reworks. Vulture still gets used, but he does the same thing at G19 as he would at G20, even though he's cheap and Mysterio is super expensive, like Doc Ock on here. Craven, I do like Craven. Green Goblin Classic, I would say he'd be a pre-Ares contender if you really, really want to take him. But for me, he's still G19. He's a pass because the next section we're going to be talking about, that global villain, is so tech heavy. That's where you're going to be spending most of your tech gear. So, next up we have Moon Knight. Yep.
I still haven't brought him to G20, but man, I've contemplated it a couple times because I just like him so much.
Oh, he's amazing. I love his kit. That turn meter rewinds, the outer turn damage with the charges. He was a really cool legendary when he came out. I loved him. Next up, we do have Moon Knight on here. For me, he's a pass. You don't use him in raids because you'd slap Mephisto in there. In war, you can throw Kestrel in because Night Stalkers, I usually use them take out like an Orcus team. Throw Kestrel in there to kind of get around that to make it even easier. Even in Crucible, if I see Orcus, I have Night Stalkers on offense, I'll use Night Stalkers. And I usually bench Moon Knight if I remember to actually take Moon Knight out. So, but for me, he's definitely a pass.
Yeah, I'd say you're 100% correct on that.
All right, so for a quick recap, then I personally think for lock it in, and then you can go with either Punisher or you go with Oath on here for that 5th slot. When I did it, like I said, I had Punisher up here, and I took Hitmonkey out. I had Oath in. That was the 5-person team I went in with, and I got through it just fine. The section is very easy to get through, but Punisher, he's that borderline. I could see lock it in like you did, so.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with any of them.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either of them. Now, when these end up going back on my Discord, I'm going to end up putting this in the bottom section, but we're going to jump over to the global villain section. Now, in here, as far as the out of meta tunes, I don't really think there's really anybody that's going to be surprising. Let me see. We've got a bunch of minions: Absorb Man, Archangel, Zemo, Magneto, Sinister. Now, the interesting thing that you see is you don't see Emma Frost, you don't see Madeline Pryor. In game, we just had a little teaser basically saying, hey, Emma Frost, Madeline Pryor are getting the 7 stars, just like they ended up doing with that with Curse team with Juggernaut and Mordo. So it looks like they're going to be on that Hellfire Club team. I did end up checking their kind of G20 pieces. Emma Frost takes 4 pieces. Madeline Pryor takes 2 pieces. Now, Madeline is like 104 speed. So unless they end up upping her speed, she's going to be a very, very slow character. But she is mutant, which I think is a good thing because I actually didn't have a lot of mutants that I kind of took along. It's more like the global hero and the cosmic villain section that I really use my mutant pieces on. But yeah, let's go ahead and knock these 2 out first. Now, you couldn't have actually done the testing with Emma and Madeline, but where would you end up kind of ranking those 2 on this?
Well, I got to be honest. I really don't have any clue, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've only used old Emma like twice, and I never even knew Madeline was in the game until I heard she might be a rework. So,
all right,
you know what? I'm going to have to defer to you, my man, because I really have no clue. I will test them as soon as they get the rework, but until then, I have no idea.
All right, so my experience with Emma Frost, when she came to the game, she was a game breaker. Getting that negative 10% speed stat was insane. She pumps out a lot of barriers, so trying to get through the barrier. And when she came out about 3 or 4 years ago, Healer Emma Frost was the bane of everybody's existence because she had such a large health pool. You'd finally get through the barrier, you'd finally start getting some damage on her, then she'd heal all the way back up to full. And then she would just kind of time you out, make you kill your own guys. She was an amazing character. Now they're starting to add more passives and kits saying the speed of this character cannot be changed. There's Apocalypse, there's Nightcrawler, there's the Accursed. They had to add that on there because Emma Frost was making that team not function properly. So they put that passive into the hood. Being 4 cost a mutant, I'm going to say post Xavier unlock. I think she's going to be worthy of G20 just to try to get through her again. She is basically a kit character, though. That's the thing. So you don't really need the G20, but I am looking at G20 in her. If they do her kit justice, if they just kind of give her a new stat, she may be a pass. That's kind of where I stand with her. Madeline Pryor, she's a 2 cost. I never had good success with her because when she came to the game, she was with the Marauder. She was more of a lifter character. But going against Madeline, if she gets her turn, she just one-shots your entire team. She was insane as far as that goes. I'm going to put her in the same boat. Post Xavier unlock. If her speed stays the same at 104, she's not even going to take a turn. That's my concern about the global villain section is your Orcus team is going to walk over this before she even goes.
Yeah, and that was the same problem that I ran into with, well, you know what? I'm going to be quiet because we're getting ready to come up on them.
Yeah. So now let's kind of go down the list. Agatha, I did end up doing a G20 on her after I got the Xavier unlock. Just the Night Stalkers team, making that ult where she's a G20 just deletes the entire team. It's night and day difference. Like you think the G19 Agatha hurts, the G20 Agatha just like rips you apart. It's insane damage of what she can kind of do for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I took her to G20 after I've done a lot of testing with her, but I would not recommend bringing her to G20. There's going to be a lot of characters in this section that you can use to get through it. But just because they'll get you through it doesn't mean it's a good idea. And she's one of those characters that I don't think it's a good idea to bring her up for Professor X. Yeah. But if you're a competitor in Crucible, at some point in time, you're going to want her damage at G20.
Yeah, especially with the out of turn damage. When they hit that red and then she does that ping, the G20 will actually kill them unless you have death proof. It's crazy the damage that she does out there. It makes it to where you need to be kind of more aware of her instead of worrying about that blade and the oath on there. It's like, well, that Agatha, she's about to do the ult on me, just wipe my entire team off. So,
yeah, it's crazy for sure.
Apocalypse, I end up taking him over the Omega Red Phoenix Force. I don't regret it. However, it did slow down my process because he does take that 5 mutant pieces, whereas Omega Red Phoenix Force over here takes the 3 pieces. Let me scroll down a little bit. Is he lock it in? I don't think so. I would put him more as a contender category than a lock it in because Omega Red's going to do the same thing and he's cheaper for you. Is that pretty fair for you?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Okay, so with that being said, Omega Red over here, would you do contender or would you actually lock him in to be able to go?
Well, here's the thing. You don't have to have him, and you can certainly get through here cheaper. But when it comes to the total outcome of the gear that you're spending, I would say he's a lock it in because the value you get with Omega Red at G20 is more powerful than any other cosmic villain option that you have. Right. So my opinion is you go ahead and take him to G20 as soon as possible because you're going to get the most value out of that investment than any other character in this section. So
what I'll do is I'll put him at the top of the post Ares because he is that epic character. So not a lot of people have him still. They're still trying to work on it. With that being said, if you do have him unlocked, I would say definitely take him. The fact that we have diamonds on him now makes him insane. If you are towards the top end of Crucible, like I have a 1 diamond Omega Red. I'm going against 3 diamond Omega Reds, and he is near impossible to kill off. He's going to get his special. he's going to get his ultimate. So he is a different animal once you get those diamonds and G20 on him. So if you have him, I say lock it in. But if you don't, that's why I'm going to put him in this category here. I think that's kind of safe to say.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Have you had any testing with Ares in there? Because we just got diamonds for him. He is a mystic character, but he's that standing passive outside of war. So have you had a chance to kind of mess with him yet?
I did. I tested him. He works. But I here's the thing. If you're not like an elite war player, I don't see the value in bringing him to G20. I mean, it's cool because he's Ares, and who doesn't think Ares is cool?
Yeah.
But I think the investment is, if I wasn't making videos on Professor X, I would have never put G20 on him because I don't like war.
Right.
But if I loved war, then yeah, I'd take him to G20, but it would most definitely be after Professor X. I wouldn't do it for the unlock.
Yeah, I think I'll put him in the contender category for those people that place war over Crucible. Because if you don't, if you're a war player, you go to G20 Ares, is my thinking anyways, because he is that good. So for those war players, I would put him as a contender, just to kind of be fair about it.
Yeah,
like mine is still G19.
Totally.
Yeah. Now I do have Dakin on here, mainly because he's a mutant villain character, and he still gets used for me in war. He gets used for me in Crucible, but it's more of a niche use. I think he's going to be more of a pass character, though. Did you kind of test around with Dakin at all, or no?
I did not. I did not take him to G20 because I really don't ever use him. I really, like I said, I'm not big in war. I do my war attacks, but we're not highly competitive in my alliance in war. So other than that one attack in war, I literally never use him at all for anything. So I didn't even take him to G20.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bow down to what your opinion is on this, because I really don't have an opinion on him.
Yeah, there was like a niche use where it was like Annihilators, I think Super Scroll Comp or something like that. It might have been somebody else, but basically use APOC to get the safeguard off, use him to basically get off the Gladiator taunt, and then use Old Man Logan to try to get a stun out there. So it's like a niche use like that because he goes so quick, he's able to kind of clear the positive effect. That's the only reason. I wasn't sure if more people kind of used him, so I didn't want to just throw like pre-Ares non-meta type of thing because he does have some use on there. Dr. Doom, he's a pre-Ares character. I never use him. I was hoping that there'd be maybe some kind of rework for him with the Fantastic Four movie. He's a dual trait where it's tech and mystic, but for me personally, he's going to end up being a pre-Ares pass, unless you have anything to say about Doom.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you about Doom. Today, I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
But I have been destroyed in Crucible so far by the new Fantastic Four with Doom.
Really?
So I may change my mind a week or two from now.
Okay.
But so far, I have faced I've faced all four Fantastic Four minus the Thing with Doom in there. And they have wrecked my face off. So a week from now, I might change my mind, or we could find an easy alternative that just walks right through it in the next week. So I'm going to agree with you today, but a week or two from now, it might be a different opinion if we don't figure out a way to destroy that comp.
Well, definitely check out DINMAN's channel. I'm going to try to keep an eye out for that video. I'm kind of curious how that played. No, we do have a Thunderbolt member here, Ghost. Ghost, she is annoying with the dodges and the evades. There's more characters out right now that have the unavoidable attacks. However, I don't see value in putting G20 on her, really, at all. Do you have any value with her?
No, none at all.
Okay, so we're going to do a post-Ares pass. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump over to Taskmaster. who's also part of the Thunderbolts team. I think Thunderbolts, they're just easy to really get around in Crucible. Usually Cabal can kind of get the work done on there, and you're not really losing anything. So I'm going to throw Taskmaster also in the pass. Do you agree with that one?
100%.
Okay. Let's do the Zombie Iron Man. The Undying team are phenomenal. We're about to get that 5th member in October, so that's under 3 months away, which is looks to be that Zombie Kestrel. So that is going to always kind of elevate the Undying team. However, Zombie Iron Man, I don't think would do anything without Hela, and we can't really use Hela in here. He's a kit-based character. We don't even need G20 on him. So I'm going to actually say post Ares pass for him.
I agree.
Fair assessment with that one?
Yep, 100%.
Now, Zombie Juggernaut, he scales incredibly well. I think post Xavier unlock, if you want to G20 him, I say go for it. But as far as taking him into the Saga, depending on your gear, because I do know some people that took Zombie Juggernaut in, and they said he did fine because the section is pretty easy. Would you put him as a contender, lock it in, or post for Zombie Juggernaut?
Well, this is where it's going to get fun, Desir. This is where it's going to get fun.
It is.
So, my recommended team for this section is Cabal with Zombie Juggernaut and LDS.
Interesting. Cabal, huh?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and throw them up here while you're talking about that.
Yes. And I will explain why.
Okay.
So, this is going to be where it gets a little edgy. If you are not into Crucible, then ignore everything you hear. But if you are into Crucible, Cabal at G20 is actually insane. It is insane how good they are. And with that being said, Cabal with Zombie Juggernaut, who only requires 2 pieces of gear.
Right. And
Lady Deathstrike, who only requires 2 pieces of gear, will walk through this section without any problem whatsoever. So you can get through them super cheap. Actually, the cheapest that you can get through it is with LDS, Zombie Juggernaut, and Cabal. And if you are a competitor in Crucible, you will not regret bringing Cabal to G20.
So Lady Deathstrike, I absolutely agree with that. She's a lock it in for sure for me. I took her and so cheap, massive damage, Terminator Rewind. She just annihilated it. I definitely agree there.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. That's my point of view. You've got to take, as an individual player, you have to take what is important to you in the game and kind of work around that. If Crucible is absolutely not important to you, then ignore everything I said about Cabal and skip them. You can still bring Zombie Juggernaut if you need to get in deeply. But there's a caveat with Zombie Juggernaut. You cannot use him without LDS. Because on the final Shadow King node, Shadow King will target Zombie Juggernaut, and he will go first without LDS in there, and he will kill Zombie Juggernaut before anybody else takes a turn. So you have to have LDS because she will go first.
Good to know.
So that's the only way you can bring him is if you have LDS with him. So now, that's my 2 cents on those 5.
Right. And the good thing about the Cabal, even though they're that pre-Ares, meaning we don't know how much longer they're going to last. However, I'm already finding value of breaking up the Cabal because Iron Patriot's able to get villains at 50% damage in Crucible. Leader's able to get the extra health. So even when Cabal has run its course, these 2 characters are going to be massive for plug and play in Crucible. So I definitely love that. They're each different traits. We have a tech, we have a mutant, we have a bio. So that's also a huge plus for them. I definitely agree with at least putting them in the contender. Locking it in for people that's not in Crucible and being pre-Ares, I'll keep them down here, but you definitely did sway my opinion. So,
and that's
Zombie,
totally.
Yeah, the Zombie Juggernaut, I don't hate that at all. So I moved him up to contender. People did talk to me about using like Zombie Scarlet Witch also. I think she's a contender, personally. She's a great character in war, amazing kits, and she's a dual trait, but I believe she only takes the bio pieces mainly. So I like her as a contender. Have you used her in the Xavier saga yet?
I have, and she's absolutely a contender for sure. Yeah, she has no issues.
Now, as far as the Orcus team, Lady Deathstrike, phenomenal. She's amazing character. I went in with Scientist Supreme, Sentinel, Nimrod, and Apocalypse. I kept Omega Sentinel out, but I think all of them are fair assessment to at least put them in the contender. If you end up taking more Orcus, I do think Scientist Supreme, she's really vital to get the team moving, and Sentinel to kind of get the robots out there and kind of speed up Nimrod. So I do kind of see them more as a package unit than anything. I don't know if I would kind of take any of them outside of Lady Deathstrike as, hey, definitely take her type of thing. Do you think any of these would end up being like a lock-in portion of it, or more just contenders?
I really don't. I honestly think out of everyone in this section, the only lock-it-in character, because it doesn't matter what comp you're using, she works great and cheap, is probably LDS. Because everyone else is going to be based off of a certain game mode. You know, they're going to be fantastic to take for people who are big in Crucible. Or they're going to be fantastic to take for people who are huge in War. But there's really no one else that, to me, is a guarantee, no matter what gameplay you love. So I think you're exactly right whenever you select her as the only lock-it-in this section for sure.
Yeah. And now we have two more characters. They're part of the Accursed team, that new Crucible team. I did G20 both of them. I haven't really tested them in the section. Juggernaut, you basically need like 4 members of the Accursed to get that Preton on there. I think he's going to be like a post Xavier worthy of it, because if he ends up going down, the Accursed team really does fall apart, because he's that tank for the team and he's so vital to kind of keep the team going with the special, kind of getting the safeguard on the team, the immunity, the heals, and his ultimate hits like a truck. I say post Xavier unlock. I don't think he's really a contender to actually take into the section. Do you have any?
Exactly correct. Yeah,
so
you're correct. I tested him in there, and I'll kind of combine both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
You can only get through there with Juggernaut with one specific team. Otherwise, Shadow King will kill him on the last node.
And you do have to 3-star everything, which is why it's so important. Everything. Yeah, so you don't want to lose anybody.
Yeah, I don't recommend I don't recommend Juggernaut at all for Professor Xavier. Hood, if somebody is just huge on Accursed and they want to bring him to G20 right out of the gate, you can use him with other team comps, but he literally does nothing. It's literally one of those things where if you take 3 Orcus, Omega, and him, the 3 Orcus and Omega destroy all the nodes and he just stands there. Yeah. And it's the same thing if you use Cabal. You could throw him in there instead of Zombie Juggernaut, but he literally doesn't do anything. You'll still get through it because Cabal and LDS will kill everyone, but he's not any benefit whatsoever. It's kind of one of those things. If you want to bring him up to G20, you could throw him in there with those team comps because you already have him at G20, but he doesn't contribute at all.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair to say. So basically we have one lock-it-in. We have a whole lot of contenders that you can kind of go with, because Global Villain is that easy of a section to really get through. So you can kind of go the Orcus route. If you're into War, you probably throw in some of the Undying and kind of get through it. Like DINMAN said, if you bring Zombie Juggernaut, you definitely need to bring Lady Deathstrike. So I definitely agree with all of that. And you definitely did sway me more on the Cabal, because even by breaking the team up, I'm still getting massive use out of this team. So I don't hate bringing them into this section anymore.
That's good. Right, somebody else that loves the ball at me.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and jump over to the next section. Global Hero. You can see the massive list that we have here of out of meta pre-Aries that we actually have. Xavier, I already put him in the post Xavier unlock because as soon as you unlock Xavier, you're going to get the gear to gear 20 him, and you're going to do that anyway. So definitely gear 20 Xavier. Don't wait on that one. So yeah, as far as the characters goes, this one here, we have a pretty big list. So we have Ancient One. She was on my list as a contender when I was doing the run. I think she still is a contender. However, the Shadow King boss, you always need to keep that in mind because the Shadow King boss on this, cloning your entire team, they get the full turn meter. You have to account for, am I going to be able to beat the Shadow King boss itself by bringing these characters? And I'm just going to move it here right now. Black Knight, Old Man Logan, and Songbird. You do not want to bring them into the Shadow King boss for this section. Otherwise, you're not going to get through it. However, they are great to G20 once you have Xavier unlocked. Would you move any of these as a pass at this point of the time? Or I still G20 all of them. I don't regret it at all.
No. I don't know how viable they are in War, but in Crucible, they're all three amazing.
Yeah. And are there any other characters that I'm missing as far as don't take this into the Shadow King boss? I've heard you can get through it with Hank Pym, but depending what you bring with Hank Pym, it's a nightmare.
It is a very RNG heavy, but he is cheap, and you can get through it with him with a couple different team comps. There is Hercules.
Hercules, okay.
Now, here's what I'm going to say about Hercules. Pass.
But okay.
I've had multiple people ask me to try. It's surprising to me, but I've had multiple people ask me to test him, and I took him to G20, although I've never used him ever for anything, because I had so many people asking me about it, and he is as bad or worse than Old Man Logan.
Oh,
he kills one of your people on their first turn almost every time on the Shadow King node. It is crazy. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, why is he terrible every single time I use him? Because he kills someone every single time on the Shadow King node. I don't get it. But
it's because he's slow and he starts out with that 100% turn meter, so he's going to take all the buffs. He's going to whack you as hard as he can. So if he had a little bit more speed, he'd be an incredible character because he's able to remove positive effects on hit, charges, everything like that. It's just he has like 124 speed or something, so it's easy to kind of navigate and get around him.
And he's always dead before he gets to do anything.
Exactly. Yep. Hank Pym, you said it depends on who you bring with him. So I'll put him in like a contender, but what characters do you need for him to kind of work? Let's start with that one.
Okay, in order to get through, you need there's only two teams I've been able to make work with him.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 New Liberty.
Okay, let me throw them up because I'm going to put them kind of as a lock it in portion on here. So we have a Falcon Joaquin, we have a Peggy Carter, and then we have a Patriot. So this right here, to me, is a lock in portion. I don't really see anybody I would actually bench because I went in with Cap Sam, but I think he's a contender and not really lock in because you can kind of get around not using him. Take like New Emma and you can take Jean Grey. That's kind of what I would kind of take as the 5 would be these 3 and these 2, right?
That is by far the best team that you can take in.
So I'll put them at the top of the list here.
Yes, they are easily the best team.
So for Hank Pym, these 3 Liberty, who was the 5th that you kind of need for him to work?
Well, funny enough, Hank Pym is the only comp that you can use and use Vicky. The only one.
Use who? Victoria Hand?
Victoria.
Really? Yep. You have to use Victoria Hand?
That is the only person that you can use. Hank Pym is the only person you can use and use Victoria Hand.
Okay.
Because anybody else just makes it too powerful. So it's kind of weird. I had a lot of people wanting to know if they could bring Victoria Hand, and I tested her with everyone. Hank Pym is the only one that you can use with Victoria Hand.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
And it is hilarious, but it is weird. It is true. Now, the other one that you can use is Emma, but I'm
Okay.
going to tell you right now, you need to be patient because I have played it about 100 times. I've went 30 times without getting the RNG right, and then I've won 3 times in a row at a different time. So
Jeez.
it's kind of one of those things. If you're free to play gear, it takes so long to get gear. That some people have been wanting to go the Hank route because it's an extra piece of gear they don't have to save up for. But if that's the case, you've got to be prepared to take a long, long time because it could take you 30 or 40 times before you get through it.
Now, somebody in my alliance, they meant to take up new Emma. Instead, they took up Phoenix. He was able to get through it, but it took him, I think, like 2 days of resets. To me, she's like a post Xavier unlock. Have you had any success with Phoenix? Because she dies, then it's kind of, you don't get the 3 stars.
That's exactly right. I've probably tried her, my gosh, at least 100 times. At least 100 times, and she dies every single time. She survives on the second time, but then you only get 2 stars.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the Immortal X-Men. So for that, we have a Beast, we have a Polaris right here, we have Storm, and who's the Jean, and who is the other character? Who am I missing?
Cable.
Oh, he's Cosmic. That's why he's not on here. I think Storm is like a post Xavier. Like, if you love Crucible, mine is still G19, but getting her to that G20 has been really tempting. I'm just holding out for the Hellfire Club to see if I want to take Jean and Storm to that G20 bump on there. Were you able to get it to work with Storm at all?
Yes, I was able to get it to work with Storm. Storm and Emma, I believe.
Storm and Emma?
Storm and Emma.
Emma is so good.
I tried profusely to get it to work with Jean because I knew I was taking her to G20, and I knew a lot of people probably would for Crucible. But them together on that final node wreck your team. You don't have a chance with both of them together.
Right, that makes sense. So I'll put her as a post Ares contender because I know a lot of people like Storm, and getting her to pop off with G20 with all those charges is so satisfying. So I'll put her in the contender category over a post unlock, but she's definitely like borderline. You can go either way for that one. Polaris and Beast on here. I don't think you really need it. I would personally put them both as a pass because Polaris is there to kind of bunch them. Beast is there to kind of keep the team going, get more charges on Storm. Then the team is basically done by turn 2. So I don't think you really need G20 in those 2 characters. Any thought on those?
Well, my thought process is right now they're both beefy enough that they will survive at G19. The only way that I would ever consider taking them to G20 is if we ended up getting overpowered 12.
Right.
Because then it would basically make them unusable. If they were 2 overpowered levels below, you'd probably have to bring them up. But outside of that, I don't think you need them at all at G20 in order for them to do what they need to do.
Yep. What about the Illuminati team? So if we kind of look at Hank Pym already, where would you put Black Panther Shuri and Captain Britain on the list on here?
Well, because I love Crucible, I brought them to G20. And somehow they are still extremely viable in Crucible. So I do think post Ares for sure. You cannot use Captain Britain. He's in that same level with, or not post Ares. Captain Britain needs to go into post Xavier. Okay. Because you can use him.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, especially
He
now that we
wrecks
have diamonds on him too, so that's definitely going to help.
you can't kill him. You cannot kill him. It's insane. So he would definitely be post Xavier, but
Okay.
highly recommended that you if you're big into Crucible, it's worth putting G20 on both of them.
Black Panther Shuri as well. Post Xavier
Yes,
unlock,
but
you think?
not post Xavier. Yes.
I do think these
Yeah.
are the three, like the Black Bolt, the Mr. Fantastic. You can kind of pass on those. But I do agree, like if you love Crucible and you are able to get the gear to do it, doing G20, I wouldn't look back. I do want to take Captain Britain up for sure. I'm just trying to be more manageable with my gear. I think I have like 160 of each of the Mystic ones. And with the curse done, I could probably spare G20 him. So I might end up doing that after this video because I do like Captain Britain. The diamonds definitely helps too now for him.
Do you have Hank at G20?
I do not have him at G20 yet either. I don't have any of the Illuminati or the Cabal. I'm trying to lean more into the post Ares, but those characters are like right there where I want to take them up.
Yeah, when you get, 2 or 3 months down the road, when you get, we start getting more plentiful gear.
Yep.
I would definitely recommend coming back because Hank makes a big difference at G20.
Yeah.
Because he really for anything else, because the sustain that he gets, because he doesn't get overpowered. So just food for thought when you do start getting that.
Right. The thing with Hank, the reason I haven't done it, honestly, is because we haven't had like a full tech team. And with RJ's kind of teaser saying, hey, we're going to get a bunch of Spider-Verse villains or Spider-Man villains out there, I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of tech characters. So I want to see what's coming. And then I'll kind of decide, it's like, okay, do I have the gear to take Hank and some of these new characters coming? So I'm just kind of like reading between the lines, I guess. So it's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can say from experience of watching your videos, you usually make pretty good decisions. So I'm going to go.
I try. I try. Now we have a bunch of the Extreme X-Men. Cyclops is a pre-Ares pass for sure. We use Old Man Logan over him in raids, and he doesn't really have any value. We do have Forge, Gambit, and Nightcrawler. I think out of any of them, Gambit and Nightcrawler would kind of be on that list of maybe, but I don't really use them. Do you have any use for any of the Extreme X-Men?
Took Nightcrawler to G20 for Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
And I use him. I'm going to say I use him at least every other round.
Okay.
But I really use him specifically to get slows out there because he's so fast and he eliminates the capability for them to alter speed with him. But Gambit, absolutely not. I would say he's absolutely fast.
So move Gambit up here.
If you're not a really high level Crucible contender, then I would say probably Nightcrawler is a pass as well.
Yeah, put Forge up there as well. Just the Extreme. We're getting the new Hellfire Club. Rumor is people think they're going to be a raid team, but we don't know if it's going to be a replacement for the Extreme X-Men or if it's going to be a spotlight raid. We don't know anything about the Hellfire Club. I am kind of curious about that for what they're going to be. As far as Nightcrawler goes, if you take him into the Xavier saga, how hard is he with the Shadow King boss node?
He is a post Xavier unlock if you plan on doing that.
I'll put him in there.
He's a complete nightmare in the on the final boss node.
That's what I figured he would be. But him and that power couple of him and Old Man Logan, I love running those two together if I get the chance. And sometimes I try to force and it backfires. It's like, I shouldn't have taken Nightcrawler, but I wanted to take Nightcrawler, so.
And it's going to be cool to be able to play with him and Azazel at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the thing with Sunspot here is we got 3 diamonds for him for a danger room. We have no clue what's coming for Sunspot. For now, I'm going to throw him in the pass category because I want to know what that 3 diamond was for.
Yeah, I agree.
Now we have the Mighty Avenger Falcon right here. I had a lot of people tell me they had success with Falcon in the Xavier Saga. How did he do for you in there?
I didn't break him to G20.
You didn't? Okay. I've
But
heard
I
he
did talk
does
to multiple
work.
people that told me it did work fine.
Yeah, and he is tech, so I'm gonna actually throw him into as a contender. If you love war, G20 and Falcon. I know like Scotty did it, and he loves his G20 Falcon, so cool for him for that one.
Well, I mean,
Who
he
else?
hits. If you like war, I mean, he's a no-brainer because
Yeah,
he does crazy damage.
yeah, he does. We do have Scarlet Witch, and we also have Vision, part of that same team. I would say Scarlet Witch. I wouldn't hate taking her up after, but during the saga, if she does that turn one ult on you with that full turn meter, I think she's going to wipe your team. Did you test her out with that or no?
No, I did not bring up any of them to G20.
Okay, so yeah, because she's going to turn one ult with a full turn meter, and that does massive damage, gets defense down out there. I think you'll lose. I think if you're going to take her, it's going to be a post Xavier. I want to take her in.
Agree. Now you're going to force me to bring her to G20 and try her out.
Hey, you already got Hercules done. That's two of the Mighty Avengers right there then. Vision, I don't think he needs it. I'm going to put him as a pass. Because even at G20, that ult is still going to be hurting with Wanda on the team for the Mighty Avengers. But let's see, turn one ult with him, that's a turn meter rewind. Turn two, he'd ability block a bunch of your characters. Because if you bring any Mystic, he's going to get that extra ability. Otherwise, it's just going to be a special or ability block on you. Yeah, I'd say pass. If the absolute worst, if you do want to take him, I would do it afterwards. I think he could kind of mess you up as well. So, but I'm going to say pass for him.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably right.
All right. Now, Guardian I have on here because he's a plug-and-play character for that offense up. I don't think I would actually take him in. I think he's going to fall over way too easily on that boss node. So I would say pre-Ares pass on here. He doesn't need the G20 also.
I agree.
Okay. Iron Man, part of that Illuminati team. I rarely use them. I do use the free-to-play Illuminati to beat like Superior 6, but he doesn't need it. I'm going to say pass on him.
I agree with that.
We have Ironheart, part of the Absolute A-Force team. She's like the first or second one bench, her and Wasp. I would say pass on both of those characters.
Yep.
It's mainly like the Kahori, Ms. Marvel Classic, and Medusa show as the trio. These two I just use with like the old A-Force members in war if I end up using them. They don't need the G20.
I agree with that.
Let's finish off the Alpha Flight. Northstar and Sasquatch. Northstar does have some use. However, I'm going to put him as a pass up here. Especially if going into the Shadow King boss. He'd end up ulting turn 1. And that's going to get slows out there on your characters and just massive damage. So I would definitely not take him into the Saga, and he doesn't need the gear. Sasquatch is interesting, though. He's a really good pre-tank. Or pre-taunt, where he kind of keeps the taunt going for you. If you're going to do it, I say do it afterwards.
Yeah,
I could see a post-Xavier unlock.
I'm definitely going to bring him to G20. Because I think that I still think he's one of the best pre-taunt tanks in the game.
Yeah.
Considering he doesn't taunt until he takes a turn, right?
Yeah. And he could mess up the Immortal X-Men counter, because Storm can go first. It goes to Jean's turn. If he's not below that health pool, he's going to throw the taunt on and kind of mess up the counter for Immortal X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know a couple times it's done it with Xavier.
Yeah.
Where when I've gone to him with Xavier, you start off, there's no taunt, and then I go to use Xavier, and he's all of a sudden taunting.
Yeah.
So I'm absolutely going to take him to G20, so just so he's not getting overpowered. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if you're a high level competitor in Crucible, I think it makes sense.
I'll move him here. Before, like, I would definitely do like these order here. I would probably do him after the Illuminati as a pre-Ares type of character on here. I definitely find more value in Captain Britain, but yeah. Man Thing, have you had a chance to test him in here? Mine is still G19. I don't need to G20 him.
Yeah.
So pass.
I think he's a pass. I haven't brought him to G20. I don't think he needs it.
Yeah, same. Pandapool, I'm gonna say pre-Ares pass. He's just part of the Mercs for Money team. He doesn't need the G20 gear. I did end up throwing Red Hulk on here that you guys can see right here. I'm starting to get a little bit more use out of Red Hulk. He's a really good power couple with Apocalypse. I could see post Xavier if you really want to do it. He doesn't really need it, in my opinion. But I think don't take him into the Saga, because that clone of Red Hulk getting the charges on him, then he's going to end up ulting, getting the battlefield effect. I think that would just kind of ruin your run.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Rogue, did you G20 Rogue for Crucible or anything?
No, I don't think I have Rogue. I don't even think I have a red star on Rogue.
Okay.
Should I? Should I bring her up? I've never used her.
She has some niche uses with a bunch of the X-Men characters, and now that we're getting like Havoc and more of these X-Men characters, she's a good war defense character to where she pulls certain characters. But as far as like extra use, I don't really think so. I would honestly do a pass on her.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think she needs it.
I feel better because I thought I was getting ready to have to bring her up.
No. War Machine, he's going to be a post Ares pass. He's still G19 for me, while the other Liberty are G20.
Yeah, me too.
Weaver, I just put her on here because she does have some use as like an Odin counter. After burn attack, the charges go out there and he just kind of can't hit your characters. She doesn't need the G20, so I'm going to put her as a pass on here. And then we have the legend who is Shield Trooper. Duelum, I guess, was able to do this. It took him about two or 3 hours. He does take one G20 piece now. He's not a totally free character. Do you have any opinions about Shield Trooper? I had to put him on here because Duelum actually getting that done.
I will have the same opinion that I have about Ravager Stitcher.
Okay.
If you have been playing the game long enough that you already had him leveled up quite a bit, then for one gear piece, why not roll the dice? You know what I mean? That's how I felt about Ravager Stitcher. But for somebody like me, they're both at level 1 for me. So spending, my goodness, 30 million gold and 10,000 training mats in order to bring them all the way up to 105 doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
But for somebody who already has them, all the way up to like 80 or 90 or something, then one gear piece, if you're free to play, I mean, it's worth rolling the dice, in my opinion, to try it.
I think he could work with the Hank Pym Liberty team because he does absolutely nothing, which is what Victoria Hand does.
Correct.
I think that could work. So
yeah, and that would be, if it would work, that would be, I mean, I really wish that I had him like at 80.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spend the type of resources it takes to get him up there. I'm not worried about the G20. I'm worried about the way to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody could get him to work with Hank, I mean, that's like the cheapest comp in the entire saga.
Yeah, because that's 2, 1, 3, 3, 3. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12 gear pieces to equip to get through a very difficult saga.
Yeah, that would be
It's
amazing.
Yeah. Now, personally, I don't like taking those type of characters because I'd rather throw on characters I actually get in use with outside of the game mode or the saga. That's why I don't like taking those type of characters. I did end up taking like Stitcher into I think the Mephisto unlock or the Odin unlock is one of those two, just because I was trying to race a little bit more than I usually do. So I did take Ravager Stitcher there. My Shield Trooper is like level 30 or something just for Blitz. So I don't want to use the gold and the training mats like you two. So if you guys in the comments were able to get it work, I am curious if Hank Pym would actually kind of be a good counterpart to him, because Shield Trooper does absolutely nothing. So yeah.
You don't have to worry about him.
So for the global hero, we basically have 3 lock it in. The 3 new Liberty characters, you do have a pretty good selection, I think, of post Ares. New Emma, she could easily go in the lock it in category, but I'm gonna keep her in the post Ares, I think, is the safe bet. As far as that goes.
I agree with you. I mean, you can make her work with literally every team comp, but she's not what I would consider to be required.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we do have the cosmic villain section. A lot of minions, the Black Order. There's really nothing up here that's like, hey, we still kind of use those characters. But the list is pretty short for cosmic villain. Now, cosmic villain is probably the second easiest section, right behind the global villain in my opinion. I just kind of walked through the section.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's go ahead and knock out the Annihilators first. We did get some new members of the Accursed team in here. I've heard the Accursed, you do need about 4 or 5 stars on them to kind of get them to work. And even then, it's a little dicey. So I think the Annihilators is still kind of the best way as far as like at least contenders. I don't know if I'd go as far as lock it in. Maybe Thanos Endgame can be the lock in because he's a skill. Where do you place the Annihilators on this?
Well, I honestly place this entire section in contender.
Contender?
Because I don't think any of them are required. However, with the right team comp, you can literally use every single one of them.
All right, so if we end up doing like Mephisto, Null, there's a lot of debate which one you should actually take on here. I end up going with Mephisto because he's that 5 pieces. Then when I cleared it, I took Null to G20. He was my first Mystic character I took up to that G20 mark right after I cleared it, because I'd rather just save the gear and wait for the Xavier, because I had to wait for the following section anyways. So it kind of made more sense when I broke it down that way. Shadow King, I think he's an amazing character in this section. Even outside, I'm still getting used with them everywhere.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Super Scroll, I would say post Xavier if you're going to do it. He costs 5 pieces. Yeah, I still didn't G20 mine. I didn't G20 mine. I really want to, though, because I still like Super Scroll. But I would definitely wouldn't take him in. I should.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, for sure.
It's to the 5 pieces. Like, my God, I just got done doing my Fantastic Four. Maybe I'll go backtrack on them now that I got those bio out of the way.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe not going to be any other bio requirements for a while.
Yeah, for real. Mordo, to me, he's a post Ares pass or unlock, depending where you're at with the Accursed team. He is the first member you kind of bench out on there. But being on the team, the full 5-man is actually a pretty good team. They just scale. The scale is kind of the issue with the team. So right now there's some like people that's not a fan of the Accursed. There are people that like the Accursed. I'd say get more stars than you really like the team. But I'm going to move them into the pass category. I think that's a safe bet to place them.
I think that I definitely think that's reasonable. I when it comes to Accursed, I use them differently on offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
On defense, I always use Mordo.
Yeah.
And the reason that I do is because if you only use 4 of them, once one of them dies, they fall apart.
Yes.
Because you really need 4 of them. So if I'm using them on defense, I always use all 5. That way one of them can die and you've still got a chance. But
Yep.
I do agree with you. I don't know that Mordo needs to be G20 in order for that to work. Because mostly what he's doing is blinding and stunning anyway. So I agree with you. I don't think he has to be G20.
Yeah. The Helverine and Satana, post Xavier, I don't know if I'd actually take them into the section, but I would G20 them when you're done with the Xavier unlock personally. I'd even go this order. Helverine, if he gets that turn 1 ult off, he just deletes the entire team. It's insane the damage that he does. Satana, you don't want her to die. That's why I say G20 her. All of her stuff is percentile damage. So the bigger she is, the more percentile and everything. Well, it's based off the opponent's percent, but it just makes it so that way she doesn't die as easily due to overpowered, because her passive is way too important for the team.
Yeah, I agree.
Hela, did you test Hela out? I know you're not really into war, but considering the whole Undying team, I'm curious if she can work.
She can work, yes.
She can work.
I
So
tested
contender.
her out. I tested her out because I had a plethora of people who don't like Crucible and wanted to take war teams, wanting to know if she would work. And I did test her out, and I was able to get her to work with 2 or 3 different team comps.
Okay, that's good to know. Ultimus, that tank buster, he just deletes any tank that he punches. He takes 5 pieces of bio though, which is like super scroll.
Yeah.
I think post if you're gonna end up doing it.
I agree, 100%.
Kang is tech, and he's a pre-Ares. I think if you really like him, he could be a contender, but I don't know if I'd actually want to take him personally. How did he do for you? Because I know you like your Crucible, so you probably G20'd him.
Well, if you are one of the ones out there that are crazy like me, and you decide to take Cabal into, oh my goodness, not Cosmic, Global Villain, then I would recommend that you bring him into Cosmic Villain, because Kang and Cabal go together like peanut butter and jelly. So
yeah.
If you are going to bring Cabal in, then bring in Kang. He works 100% without a problem, and he hits like a truck at G20.
Yeah, he would. And then Ravager Stitcher, he's a very cheap character, and considering how easy this section is, I know Zero Cool Gamer, he was able to get it done with I think he did Ravager Stitcher as well. It's definitely doable, and that's going to save you gear, so I don't hate it because Xavier is that good of a character, but just know you're not going to use him really for anything outside of just the Xavier unlocks. So that's where your gear is going to kind of go.
And I would also like to point out something about that, so nobody goes in with the wrong misunderstanding. Stitcher is going to save you a bunch of gear because he only costs 1 piece.
Yep.
But you cannot get through here without Mephisto and Null to use Ravager Stitcher. So be aware of that. You're technically saving gear on him, but you've got to have Mephisto and Null in order to use him.
Okay.
So you're spending a lot of gear on Mephisto and Null in order to be able to use him. So if you're one of those characters, you're one of those people that are going to bring up Mephisto and Null anyway because they're awesome, and why not? You can save gear on Ravager Stitcher by doing that, but don't bring him up thinking that you can take him in there with the 3 Annihilators and
like Shadow King.
because you cannot. You've got to have Mephisto and Null, or he will die.
And Mephisto, I take it's because of that battlefield effect, so that way he gets the extra defense type of thing, right?
That is correct.
And
You got
Noel's
to have Mephisto, Noel, and Gladiator at the least, because you got to have Gladiator on the opposite side, so he's taunting and keeping
right.
everyone away from it.
And Nolan's probably there for that special to kind of get negative effects off him, get Cartage out, start moving up and everything.
That's correct. And keeping the offense on your side.
Right.
Because the more turns you're taking, the less they're taking, and the less chance Stitcher's going to get killed.
So yeah, I do agree, like, there aren't really any, like, absolutely lock it in type of thing. The closest for me would be like a Thanos and maybe one of these two. Like, take one or the other would be like a lock-in type of thing. Like, pick your poison between these two and him. That's the only thing I would say as far as like a lock-in type of thing. But I agree, like, you don't absolutely need anybody for this. You can kind of make any of these work. And
yeah,
that's kind of the way the section is. It's that easy of a section. These two right here, I know Dorky Dad did testing with them. I'm pretty sure you did as well. You just need higher stars. I think it's like 4 or 5 stars minimum to kind of get them to work. And even then, it's a little bit dicey, right?
Yeah, it is very dicey. Even at whenever I first tested them at 7 red, I had to end up bringing in Noel and in-game Thanos, because otherwise on the final node, the other team took so many turns before our side took a turn that one of them died every single time.
Yeah,
so it's not even
slow.
worth trying with them. It's really not worth trying with them. Just if you're into Crucible, take them to G20 after the unlock.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Now we have the last section here, which is the Cosmic Hero section. This one here, I know people have taken Magic because she's cheap and everything. If you bring Magic, you absolutely need Odin, would be my thinking, because Odin makes that section so much easy. If you're trying to get around Odin, because he does cost that 5 Mystic pieces, and say we throw him in the post-Ares contender, do you see anybody that's like would be a lock-in outside of that?
A lock-in for this section?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to be a little bit of a smart aleck, and I'm going to say Lilandra.
She is. You absolutely have to have Lilandra. That is correct. I forgot to put her up there.
Yeah, she's the only one that is a requirement, without a doubt.
Now, I didn't have the chance to do this yet. The Fantastic Four team. So if we end up putting the 3 new members up here, we got Johnny and we got the Thing. They have long cooldowns. How did the Fantastic Four team actually do on this section? Because you need to basically drop Xavier by 25% every single wave. But with their long cooldowns, was that doable? And how easy was it?
It was. Well, here's the thing. If this wasn't the last section, you could not use them until they had at least 7 red stars. But
really?
Because it is, yes, but because it is the last section, they don't all have to live. So
True.
I used them, the 3 new ones with Lilandra and Quasar, and got through the entire section without a problem, but only finished like 1 or 2 nodes with all of them alive.
Jeez.
So you can use them, but you'll probably lose one of them. But on this last section, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you need the 3 stars to unlock the following section. Since this is the last section, you can lose them. So that definitely makes sense.
Yes.
And that was at 7 stars for the 3 new members?
Well, no. I had Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman at 7 red, and I tested Franklin at 3 red to kind of give people a look into it.
Right.
And I think Franklin died on 3 or 4 nodes. And on the final node, I think I also lost Invisible Woman or Mr. Fantastic. But here's the thing. Quasar will get you through the final section.
Yeah, Quasar is amazing.
is a beast. So, yeah, you can pretty much use. You can use those three. They don't have to be huge because the Laundra and Quasar will help you get through all the sections. You may lose one or two people, but you'll be fine because you still progress.
Now, as far as Odin, I'm not going to throw him as a lock it in because he does cost that 5 pieces. You're definitely going to do him after you unlock Xavier for sure because Odin's that guy. Quasar, I'm really tempted to throw him and lock in because I use him every single day. I use him in Crucible, I use him in War, our events, the Scourges. He is so good as a character. I almost want to throw him and lock it in for him.
Yeah, throw him in there. And I'm going to give you a hot take right now. It's going to be said on this channel the very first time. Quasar is the best player in the game.
That's definitely...
He is the best all-around tune that we have, hands down, period.
He's arguably top 3. I could see a case for 1 because in War, he can shut down Odin if he got his Awakened Ultimate. Even without the Awakened Ultimate, he's still really good. I always open up with a special, get that defense down, the slows out there, 129 speed. He does that percentile damage. When he takes his turn, he just deletes Xavier because I'll get a stun on him with Black Cat. Odin does the assist or Xavier, and then Quasar finishes him off. I could see a case for 1. I honestly can.
Yeah, and here, fun fact. Up until recently, we were doing all of that with a 5 or a 6 red.
Yeah.
What's he going to be like at 3 diamonds? It's going to be insane.
That leaderboard scares me. That leaderboard for diamonds on him, it's like, no. Please, no.
It could be worse than Odin.
Yeah, he's going to stay and lock it in. Odin, I'll keep as a contender because people are doing it without him. He just makes it, like, so easy if you do bring him. The 3 members I'll keep as a contender because, like you said, you don't need to have them survive. I'll move Torch and Thing as host if you want to do it. The Thing in War is insane, so G20 and him would be really cool. Torch is interesting because in Danger Room, he was an MVP for me in that Danger Room. Outside of the Danger Room, I don't know how he's going to be yet. I'm definitely eager. I would put him as I'll keep him in post for now if you want to do it. I think that's a fair assessment for these two, right?
I think so. And I think a lot of people are wanting to bypass bringing them to G20 because, let's be real, the new Fantastic Four is really a 3-piece.
Yeah.
Because that's all that's required to activate all of their abilities. But, man, Johnny's pretty good with his automatic assists.
Yeah.
He does a lot of damage. He really does. I mean, I don't feel bad about taking him to G20 at all.
I want it either. I want to see because in Crucible, like I did a video for like everything to know for the Fantastic Four. In War, Thing is going to be on the team. Johnny's the first out. In Crucible, even on offense, I could see Thing being out. You keep Human Torch there because of those assists that he provides. He does massive damage. I do like Torch. So I'll do a post Xavier unlock for both of them. I think that's definitely fair. Now we have the 2 other Illuminati members. So we have a Black Bolt right here, and we have a Mr. Fantastic. These are like the first 2 and Iron Man. We don't need them at G20. I would honestly put them as a pass on here. Now, you with your Illuminati, do you have G20 on those, and do you like it?
I have G20. I did not G20 Mr. Fantastic because I'm using Black Knight with them. But I did Black Bolt, but I would not recommend that you do that.
Okay.
He's expensive because he's a legendary.
And an old legendary.
If I didn't have an extreme excess of gear, I would not have done it. So I'm not going to recommend that anybody waste their gear on that.
Right. We do have Cable. He's part of that Immortal X-Men team. He is a cosmic hero. I don't think he needs the G20 for the Immortal X-Men, and he'd get the extra turn meter. He does have that turn meter rewind. I don't think he needs extra members for that, but I don't think we need G20 on him. I would put him as a pass.
I agree.
I think that's it for Immortal X-Men. So let's go down the list. Cosmic Ghost Rider. People like using him for war. That's why I kind of threw him on here. Have you tested him in this section for people that's like warheads or anything?
No, because I have him at level 1.
All right. I'm gonna say pass. He has long cooldowns, and he kind of gets the job done at G19. I don't think we need him at the G20 mark. Deathpool, I would put her as a pass. The new Warriors are just like a cleanup team on Odin. You don't need the G20. She's an original character, so hopefully she gets some kind of rework, but I'm not really holding my breath, which the same would end up going for Kestrel. I think I already have Kestrel up here. Yeah, right there. She'd end up being a pass. Doctor Strange is interesting, though. He's a very cheap character. He takes 2 pieces. He is part of the Astral team, but is he a contender post Ares unlock? Where would you throw Doctor Strange at on the list?
Personally, have not taken him to G20. I just don't see any scenario that I don't ever use him. Do you?
I use him
I always
with the
break
Astral
up.
team. Yeah, I used him in War, and there was a time where I used him as like a plug and play for some defensive teams. Like with the Illuminati, he really busts them up on defense. I'm gonna kind of keep him as a contender because he's so cheap and you don't need everybody to survive. So if you have like a access and Mystic gear, I don't hate people bringing him along for that. But I'd say contender personally.
Okay. I will 100% respect your opinion on this because I don't really use him. I really don't use him at all.
Yeah, and considering he has that revive, he has a buff flip and everything. Yeah, I say go for it. If you have the access gear and this is your section, I say do it. What about Groot, Rocket, and Havoc? So let's go ahead and knock out the rest of the Starjammer team. So I think they kind of fall into the contender category on here because there are really like 2 routes you can go. You can go like the Starjammer route, or you can go with the absolute A-Force route with like Kahori, Medusa, Ms. Marvel Classic. Now there's a Fantastic Four. So there's 3 routes that you can realistically go for this boss fight, right?
Yeah. I totally agree.
Now I know Groot, he's done some good things for people on this fight. Havoc and Howard. So we got like a bio, a mutant, and a tech. I think Rocket, he could kind of go into post Xavier section on here because you only need like 3 of each type of thing. And Crucible, I believe Crucible's active on the section too, right?
Yes, Crucible is active.
Yeah. So I think go with like the 3 Fantastic Four, the 3 Starjammers, or the 3 Absolute A-Force on here. We have 4 more characters to look at. Hyperion. Did you G20 him and did you give him a go in this section?
I did G20 him.
Okay.
And he will work, but I'm going to recommend that you pass because I don't see any scenario that makes sense to put G20 on him.
Yeah, even as a plug and play, he has like limited. So he gains the defense up to everybody, which is great. He gives safeguard to himself, and he's a pretty early taunt with a special and a short cooldown. So he does have some uses, but it's kind of limited uses for plug and play what you could end up doing with him.
Yeah.
The OG Invisible Woman, she's part of the Mighty Avengers. I'm gonna say pass on her. I think she's expensive, right? I think she's like 5 bio pieces
I
or
believe
3
so.
bio.
Yeah.
She's
He's a
something.
legendary.
Yeah, an older legendary.
Yep.
Moondragon, I think she'd be an interesting one, but you don't really need a G20. I'm gonna say pass on her.
I agree.
And then Silver Surfer, I'll say pass on him. I think that's pretty safe for these guys to be down in this section, right?
Yep. That's how I feel about it.
So realistically, we have 2 characters that's like a lock-in. Lilandra, because you have to bring her. Quasar is that guy, so definitely bring him. And then you can kind of mix and match the post Ares section on here. I think is pretty good. So pretty safe assumption on this, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Now, as far as if I were to do the run again, we kind of discussed the 3 vigilante characters, Blade and Oath. You can easily take Oath out, throw in like a Hit Monkey or something, and that would work perfectly fine. Because of the limited tech gear of the other sections, I still have like 4 Orcus with Omega Red Phoenix Force is what I would probably lean into. I do want to see what the Hellfire Club brings because that would kind of change this section around because there should be a lot of villain mutants on there. And I kind of had to throw in an extra mutant on here with Havoc on the last section, which I'd probably switch that over to somebody else type of thing, maybe to a Howard if I throw another mutant and replace one of the Orcus members. 3-piece Annihilators, I would do Null and then Shadow King, but again, Mephisto could work, then take Null up after. This will kind of get you through a lot quicker. The 3 new Liberty members, which we kind of talked about, new Emma Jean is probably what I would lean into on my redo if I had to do it again. And then Lilandra, Quasar, the 2 damage dealers for the Fantastic Four. Then I threw Havoc in here because of the mutant. So I was kind of set this at 4. That kind of balances out to where my lowest is actually Mystic at 4 pieces. So that's even with Oath in here. So there are certain things you can kind of swing around to try to get this run again. So I do like your Illuminati assessment and your Cabal because they're fairly cheaper and that would get people through quicker. It's just you have to kind of know these characters have the shortest lifespan out of some of the other characters in these sections. But yeah, what did you think about this?
I think if I were to make any changes myself, I'd get rid of Oath and throw in Hit Monkey.
Right.
Personally, in the second section, I don't think you can go wrong with that because Orcus works great, and if you've got Omega Red available, I highly recommend that you bring him. Like I said, when it comes to if you are a highly competitive Crucible, I recommend doing the Cabal. But if not, then Orcus is the safest, easiest way to get through here. And like you said, you really don't need tech anywhere else. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head on the Hero Global section.
Right.
That is absolutely the best team to use. And on Villain Cosmic, quite frankly, you can't go wrong because all of those tunes that you're selecting there are top of the meta right now and work awesome every other place that you want to use them. So yeah, I think you did great in all the sections.
Yeah, and the Fantastic Four, Quasar is just amazing. Havoc, he was the only one I kind of had to throw on here because without Havoc, I was down to like 4/4, so I either needed a mutant character or a mystic character for the Hero Cosmic. If you want to go cheap, you can throw in, like I said, Doctor Strange. He's 2 mystic pieces for you, and he can definitely fill that void. We also have that Blastar new legendary coming. He'd fit in the Villain Cosmic section. And he's a bio character, so you can like take out Gore for him, but just know that Gore works great with Null. Or you can take out Gladiator, but having that pre-time I think is really, really important, and you can't go wrong with Gladiator. He's an awesome character.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I'm going to end up putting in the description DINMAN's channel. He's done so much testing, and I know this video went longer than intended, but we kind of dove into the weeds on this tier list. These, I'll end up downloading them. I'll put them on my Discord channel for you guys, just kind of help you guys out with getting that Xavier unlock. But any last words for the audience, DINMAN?
No. I'll tell you what. I really appreciate you having me on, man. And I ain't afraid to say it, that I was kind of a little starstruck when you asked me. You were my favorite YouTuber for a really long time before I started streaming. So
hey, I appreciate that.
It's kind of cool, man. It really is. I appreciate you inviting me on, and I had an absolute blast.
All right, thank you so much, and make sure that you check out his channel. Let's get him up to that 1,000 subs. He is so close right now, and he's doing an awesome job. So thank you so much for joining me on this.
Absolutely, my pleasure, brother.
All right, if you guys did enjoy this video as well, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day, everybody.
Take care, guys.